Hi friends, I've just made an effort to explain the concept of capital allocation line in the simplest way possible. So I hope it's easy for you to understand. So let us take an example where there is an asset which is risky in nature, from whom the expected return is 20%, and the standard deviation, that is the risk of that risky asset, is 10%. And we have another asset which is a risk free asset, which if invested is offering me 6%, and which if borrowed is going to charge me 6%. Now let's get to the solution. So when I've combined these two assets, I have to find out the return of the portfolio, and obviously the return of the portfolio shall be the weight of the risky asset multiplied with the expected return plus weight of the risk-free asset multiplied with the return of the risk-free asset. And also I am willing, and let us call this as equation 1. Now I'm also willing to know the risk of the portfolio. So there is a formula for risk of the portfolio which I hope all of you are aware. Okay, so when I'm combining a risky asset with a risk-free asset, obviously you all will acknowledge that a risk-free asset has a standard deviation or risk of 0. Okay, so when I'm using this above equation and putting the value of SD of risk-free asset, that is 0, what I find that this term will become 0, and also this entire term will become 0, because here you can see that SD of RF is there. Okay, so the only conclusion which I can have here, that when I'm combining a risky asset with a risk-free asset, then the portfolio's risk will be Wx into sigma x, that is the weight, that is the risky assets risk only multiplied with its weight. Okay, now what we do, we combine this equation with the above equation and see what we are getting. So let us look at equation 1. It says expected return of the portfolio is weight into weight x into expected return x plus weight RF into rate of RF. Okay, and if imagine that the weight of investment in asset X is 20%, then obviously the weight of investment in the risk-free asset will be 80%, that is 1 minus 0.2, which is equals to 0.8 or 80%, right? So that is how we have come to this line. Okay, now in the next line what we have done, we have taken Wx as the common factor, and we have yes, we have taken Wx as the common factor over here, and then we have also reworked the above equation 2, where we said that risk of the portfolio is Wx sigma x, as the Wx being equivalent to risk of the portfolio by risk of the risky asset. So substituting the value of Wx, we get this term plus RF. Okay, so if you closely look at the formula, this more or less represents a Sharpe ratio of the risky asset, that is return of the risky asset minus RF divided by risk factor of the risky asset multiplied with sigma p plus RF. Okay, fine. Now let us look at the graph of the from the above. Okay, so as I said that when I'm combining a risky asset with a risk-free asset, obviously the risk of the portfolio shall be equivalent to the risk of the risky asset. So there is no harm in calling that risk of the portfolio is actually a risk of the risky asset, and in the x-axis we have plotted the risk of the portfolio, and on the y-axis we have plotted the return expected return of the portfolio. Okay, now let us come here, that is 10%. What we are saying here, that imagine that we have invested the entire capital that we have, 100% amount in the risky asset. Okay, so when we have invested the entire corpus in the risky asset, then obviously the risk of the portfolio, I mean the return of the portfolio shall be the return of the asset X only, right? Because 100% money you have invested in asset X, so the portfolio's return, and you have invested 0 in RF asset, so obviously the return of the portfolio will be equivalent to the return of the risky asset. Okay, and Now the zone which is left to this point is obviously the portion where an investor have invested less than 100% in risky asset. So the balance fund he has invested in the risk-free asset at RF, right? And to the zone right of this point, the investor has invested more than 100% in asset X, which has been funded by borrowings through RF. Okay, right. So this is, I guess it's clear. That is what all has been written over here. Okay. Now let's come to the next portion, which is equally important. Pardon my poor resources. Okay, fine. Right. So okay, so till now what we knew that when we are plotting the return of the portfolio here and risk of the portfolio here, and as per Markowitz theory, this entire curve which which looks like this entire curve used to be known as minimum variance curve, and this upper portion was the efficient frontier, which was known as Markowitz efficient frontier, and this low portion was known as Markowitz inefficient frontier. Okay, and this point somewhere over here we had a portfolio which is a minimum variance portfolio whose variance was low and the return was high. Generally, for risk averse investors, we find there is a positive correlation, positive movement between risk and return. That is, as risk increases, return also increases. But if you look at the minimum variance portfolio, it is you will find that as the risk decreases, the return doesn't decrease, rather it increases. So this point represents my minimum variance portfolio. Okay, now as a risk-free asset is introduced, we see that the old efficient frontier, that is this upper bulge, that is Markowitz efficient frontier, is no longer the efficient frontier. We have a new efficient frontier which starts from a point on the y-axis, that is RF, and now the optimum risky portfolio is the point on the new efficient frontier, which is tangent to the old efficient frontier. This new efficient frontier is also known as capital allocation line. This entire paragraph shall be well understood through this diagram. Okay, so what I said, that this used to be my efficient frontier, which was known as Markowitz efficient frontier, but this is now no longer my efficient frontier in the presence of risk-free asset in the portfolio. So my new efficient frontier is this straight line which is starting from the y-axis. Okay, and also what I am saying, that earlier my optimum portfolio used to be the point of tangency between this efficient frontier and my indifference curve. But here the optimum risky portfolio shall be this point on the on the capital allocation line, which is also tangent to the old efficient frontier. Okay, fine. Now why do I call this optimum risky portfolio? Because we have invested 100% money in X and thereby getting the return of only asset X, and if to bear any risk, that shall be entirely the risk of the risky asset. So we call it optimum risky portfolio. Okay, and then the question arises that what shall be the equation of the capital allocation line? Well, obviously it shall be the risk-free asset plus Sharpe ratio of the risky asset multiplied with sigma p. So that is how the capital allocation line concept is covered. Okay, now the question arises that I, being an investor, will definitely as a risk averse investor would have different indifference curves, right? So will those indifference curve be of any use to determine optimum portfolio? Yes, definitely they shall be of use. So what we have done, well, now we will plot the indifference curves on the new efficient frontier, that is the capital allocation line, and the resultant point of tangency, that is the point where my indifference curve touches the capital allocation line, that shall be my new optimum portfolio. Okay, so if you look at this curve, here you will see that Mr. Hay has got 3 indifference curves. Well, why did I plot 3 indifference curves? Here I've assumed that indifference curve 1, which is a bit steeper, it actually represents that he is highly risk averse, low risk tolerance. Okay, so he would demand a higher return for an extra unit of risk. And for the lowest indifference curve, I'm assumed that he is not as high as risk averse, and is not highly risk averse, so he has got a high risk tolerance level. And in the middle indifference curve, I'm assumed that he has got a moderate risk tolerance level. So obviously, of this indifference curve, maybe this indifference curve was the highest among all the indifference curves plotted. And when this was plotted against the capital allocation line, the point of tangency represented that this is the portion where the optimum portfolio should be for Mr. A. And whenever the in this zone someone makes optimum portfolio in conjunction with capital allocation line, it means that he has invested his own capital, some in the risky asset and some in the risk-free asset. And Mr. B, if you look, he has his optimum portfolio is to the right of the of this point. So obviously he has invested more than 100% in the risky asset, and that has been financed by borrowing at the RF. Okay. Now you should also understand that for both the shareholders, the Sharpe ratio will be same, because throughout the capital allocation line, the slope has been the Sharpe ratio of the risky asset, which is not influenced by whatever weight you have assigned for investment in the risky asset or the risk-free asset. Thank you. I hope it will help you in understanding the concept.